Welcome to the Getting Through Today podcast. I'm Brita. Come along with me as I share my story of the ups and downs through chronic illness and depression, all while being a mother of 5. I know healing is possible, and through every phase there is beauty, even if we don't always see it at the time. I know what it feels like to just get through one day at a time. Let's get started. Welcome back to Getting Through Today. Today we're diving into something that can make all the difference when life feels overwhelming. Emotional resilience. It's about building strength from within, learning to bounce back from setbacks, and maintaining a sense of balance when life throws us curveballs. The only curveballs I want in my life were the ones coming at me when I played softball. But I've been hit hard by life's curveballs. And I'm sure you have too. We've all had those moments when we feel like we're at our breaking point. Moments when life hands us situations we never thought we'd have to live through. Maybe it's a health crisis, a relationship breakdown, or just the relentless weight of daily struggles. It's in those moments that resilience becomes more than just a word. It becomes our lifeline. Just this past weekend, I experienced a powerful reminder of what resilience truly means. I was able to jog 9 miles as a part of my half marathon training, and it was so hard. About mile 3, I hit a wall where each step felt almost impossible. My mind started whispering all the reasons I should just stop, turn back, and give up. Things like, you've been chronically ill for a lot of years. Just getting out there doing 3 miles is so great. Or, you've had a tough week. Maybe you should rest more. And then I got to mile 6, feeling really accomplished and thinking, well, 6 miles is a lot. Anyone would be proud of doing 6 miles, but my goal was 9 miles. But even at 6 miles, I decided that I felt physically and emotionally strong enough to continue this run. And it was in that moment that I tapped into the very resilience that we're talking about today. I reminded myself of how far I've come, not just in training for a half marathon, but in life. How each painful step became a powerful metaphor for how we can move through life's hardest moments. It wasn't pretty or perfect, but I kept moving forward one step at a time until I finished those 9 miles. That's resilience in action, finding strength deep within when everything feels impossibly hard. And that's how I got through the worst days of my life, were just one step at a time. I remember when my life took that turn I never expected. I was so used to being strong and active, juggling family life, work, and all the chaos that comes with it. I loved it. But when I got sick, everything changed. Suddenly, I was the one who needed help. With kids, the house, even taking care of myself. My life looked so different than I wanted. But one thing that struck me most was watching Jeff, my husband, step up in ways he never imagined he'd have to. His life was very different than what he'd imagined as well. He was working, worrying about me, managing the house, and still trying to be a dad and a husband. I knew he was overwhelmed, but he never stopped. Seeing him find his own resilience inspired me to dig deeper and find mine. I realized I couldn't just sit back and give up. I had to keep showing up for myself and for my family, even when I didn't think I could, even when it felt too hard. It's easy to look back now and see how far we've come, but in the day-to-day moments, so many things felt impossible. I felt emotionally drained, so lost, but I knew I couldn't let that be the end of my story. I had to learn how to build resilience, not just for me, but for the people who needed me. And once I started finding tools that actually worked, it made all the difference. This is why emotional resilience is so important, especially for anyone managing chronic illness, caregiving, or just really anyone overwhelmed by life's demands. Sometimes it's not just about pushing through. It's about finding tools that help you keep going, even when your energy is gone and even when your heart may feel heavy. There were so many moments when I felt emotionally drained, and I had to find tools to build resilience. Over time, I learned that resilience doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It's something you cultivate. It's something that the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Today, I'm going to share some of the tools that help me, the same ones I still use when I feel myself getting overwhelmed. And these tools are not about pretending everything is okay or pushing your emotions aside, because you can't do that. They're about feeling what you feel, honoring your experience, and finding a way to move forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Here are some things that have helped me. Number 1, acceptance and self-compassion. It's important to acknowledge where you are without judgment. If you're angry or you're mad, acknowledge it, but find healthy ways to process through it. Allow yourself to feel without shaming yourself for the struggles. For example, give yourself permission to cry or admit that it's hard instead of trying to be strong all of the time. That's something that I had a hard time with. I didn't like to cry in front of people. But it's important that if you're feeling those emotions, even if you have to go somewhere by yourself and cry, feel those emotions, let them flow through you. You can't just keep stuffing them down. They have to escape somehow. And it's way better to let them come up, process them, feel them, and move forward. Number 2, building a routine that grounds you. When life feels chaotic, you might find that there's some routines that give you a little stability. And I know when I was struggling with chronic illness, I felt like routines or different things were really hard for me, but it could even be just a drink that you like or stretching in the morning. It's just really focusing on small, manageable routines, even if it's journaling in the morning or whatever that is for you. When my health felt unpredictable every day, when I had one small routine that I had, it would give me a better sense of control. And one thing that I like doing is journaling, especially before I go to bed. I don't do it every night, but it's something that gets all the thoughts out of my head, and then it helps me to clear my mind before I go to sleep. 3, leaning on your support system. I have to say that resilience is not just an individual effort. It's important and okay to lean on others. I had Jeff's support always, and he helped me feel less alone, even when things were really hard. And I have some good friends and family that when I was feeling so low, they never made me feel like a burden when I talked to them and told them how hard it was. And they encouraged me and listened to me. And I encourage any of you, if you start to feel like you're isolating, try to reach out to one person, one safe person that can support you. It is important to find support along the way. 4, creative expression as a release. Sometimes resilience comes from allowing yourself to be creative, writing music, or even just doodling. I love to write music, and that's how I've got through a lot of hard things in my life, is writing music, singing, playing the piano. Those things have really helped me to process my emotions. So I'd invite you to find a creative outlet that is fun for you, and don't worry about it being, you don't have to be great at it. Just do it, because when we create, it helps release some emotions and just have fun. Number 5, reframing challenges. When we're going through hard things, it is not always easy to find purpose in them. But one thing that has always helped me is I've always shared what I was going through. And throughout my journey, when I would go to any of my kids' events or different things, and I would start talking to a parent and I'd share my story, So many times people would say, thank you so much for sharing with me. They either knew someone that could use some help navigating chronic illness, or they themselves were. I would have to say that emotional resilience is often misunderstood. I think I've always thought that resilience meant maybe someone who never breaks down, or they always have it together, or those people that can just keep going without ever being affected. But that's actually not real life. And even if I'm perceiving that someone's doing that, they're not doing that all the time. They're breaking down somewhere. And that's not how resilience actually works. So emotional resilience is not about never feeling sad, angry, or overwhelmed. It's about being able to navigate those feelings without being consumed by them. It's about finding ways to move through the emotions rather than getting stuck in them. It's being able to bend without breaking, allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel without letting it define you. And one of the things that I've learned is that there's a place for all the emotions that we feel. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. But the way we act when we feel this way, that's where the problems can come. Whether we're acting out to someone else or being mean or those kind of things. But if we learn these healthy ways to process these emotions, we need to feel them. They are there for reasons. But then we've got to process them in healthy ways so that we are not hurting other people with our words or our actions. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that resilience means being tough or pretending everything is okay when it's not, because that is not sustainable. And that's not fair to ourselves. Real resilience allows space for vulnerability, space to break down, and space to admit you're struggling. I don't think resilience is about putting on a brave face when you're falling apart inside. I think it's more about allowing yourself to be human, flawed, messy, and real. For me, resilience often looked like being completely honest with myself, admitting when I felt lost, afraid, or just exhausted. I had to learn that being resilient did not mean pushing those feelings aside. It meant acknowledging them, honoring them, and finding a way to keep moving forward. There was a time during my illness, many times, when I felt like I was constantly at war with my body. I felt like my body betrayed me. It was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. I kept searching for new ways to heal, new treatments, new practices, new ways of coping. Every time something didn't work, it was awful. I'd let myself feel the disappointment, but I knew I couldn't stay there. I had to find a way to rise again. Back when I was young, all throughout most of my life before I got sick, one way I coped with life was to exercise, to run, and that really helped me to process my emotions. I could think while I jogged. And then when my physical body couldn't run or jog or really even walk, I didn't know how to process my emotions. I couldn't go out for a jog. It was really hard for me. There were many days when I couldn't rise on my own. And that's where my support system came in. I remember so many evenings feeling so defeated. Jeff would come home from work. The kids, sometimes I'd have the kids in bed or he'd help get them in bed. And Jeff would just sit with me, holding me, not trying to fix it, not telling me to look on the bright side, but just being there, encouraging me, telling me I was doing a good job. And I loved that I didn't have to pretend I was okay with him. I could just be. And he held me so many nights where I cried in his arms. And I'm sure that was really hard for him. We've talked, and it was really hard for him because there wasn't anything he could do. But that was the most important thing, is that I just had someone to listen to me. And in that space of honesty and support, I did find the strength to keep trying. And I think some of us might think that resilience means that we have to do it all on our own, but I feel like some of my strongest moments have been when I allowed myself to lean on others, whether it was Jeff, a friend, a therapist, a healthcare provider, family member. Being able to admit I needed help was a huge part of building my resilience. I do feel like so many times I felt like I had to be strong for everyone else. I didn't want my family or my friends to see me struggling, so I kept all the pain to myself. Over time, the weight of carrying it all alone, it wore me down. And then that's where I realized that I had to let others in and I had to let people support me. And it was hard for me. Honestly, I didn't like it. I wanted to be the one taking care of everyone and I always had all this energy to keep going. And when I didn't, it was really frustrating to me. But when I started to share more and more with my family and my friends, I actually didn't feel weaker like I thought I would. I felt stronger. And when I was able to be honest about my struggles, I found a new kind of resilience. And it was actually rooted in connection instead of isolation. I did isolate myself a lot because it was hard for me to be around other people because I didn't want them to see how much I was struggling. But it really did help when I was able to open up. And then I had these amazing people in my life that were still there for me, even when I was not at my best. So the reality of emotional resilience is it's not just about enduring. It's about growing through the hardship. It's giving yourself permission to not have all the answers and to not always be okay. It's being gentle with yourself when you're hurting. Sometimes we just need to tell ourselves that we need to rest or that we need help. And that does not make you weak. It makes you human. There were so many times when I felt like I had exhausted all my options. I felt like I had tried everything. Every therapy, every technique, every doctor, every mindset shift, and still I was struggling. But one thing about resilience is we can't keep doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. We have to be willing to try something new. Keep exploring and keep hoping. I never would have been to where I am today without trying so many different things. And there were plenty of things I tried that I didn't feel like helped at all. But then there were so many things that helped me more than I thought they would. And I think it's important that we have to understand that the healing journey may not always be a clear path. There may be days where you feel like you're making progress, and then others where it feels like you're back at square one. That happened to me time and time again. Sometimes I would feel like I was failing because I wasn't making the progress I wanted to, but it actually just means you're living, navigating the messiness of being human. We're all on this journey where we have really hard things coming up. And we just have to keep going. That's the point, I think, is to keep going. That we don't just lay down and give up. We can lay down for a bit. We can feel sorry for ourselves for a day or two. And then we pull ourselves up and we get back to it. When I was going through my health issues, it felt like I was getting diagnosed with something almost every doctor visit, and I was so sad. So I decided every time I would get bad news, I would give myself a day, maybe two, to just be sad. I'd feel sorry for myself. I'd cry. I'd call my friends and family, and I hate this. This is hard. And then I would say, okay, now what am I going to do about it? And then I would make a plan to deal with it, to work through it, to process it. I tried really hard not to allow myself to sit very long in that feeling, but it was important for me to feel it. I was frustrated. I didn't like it. Maybe there's some people that can just all the bad news, they can just take it and they can still be positive, but that just wasn't me. I had to sit in it for a minute and then I had to keep going. And I feel like even allowing myself to cry when I was leaning on Jeff or my friends or other family, and I just say, I'm not okay right now, I realized that that's when I was building resilience. That's how I was growing. Admitting I wasn't okay, that's resilience. And if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, just know that resilience doesn't mean you have to do it alone. It does not mean you have to be the strongest person in the room. Sometimes resilience is found in the quiet moments when you choose to keep going, even if it's just one small step at a time. Okay, so here's some practical ways that you can build emotional resilience. Some tools that you can use when life feels overwhelming, when your emotions seem too heavy to carry, or when you just don't know how to move forward. That was one thing when I couldn't run, I couldn't do the physical exercise to help me process. I did use music and singing to help me, but other than that, I really didn't know how to help myself. The goal here is to give you simple, effective ways to build your strength from within. And remember, it's always okay to start small. Tool number 1 is mindful breathing. One of the most powerful ways to ground yourself when you feel overwhelmed is through mindful breathing. It might sound almost too simple, but sometimes the simplest tools are the most effective. Mindful breathing is about bringing your awareness to your breath and using it to calm your nervous system. When you're feeling anxious, your breath often becomes shallow and rapid, which can make your body think you're in danger, even if you're just stressed out in the day-to-day. One technique that I've found very helpful is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. It's easy to remember, and it really works to help settle your mind and body. Here's how it works. You inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Then repeat this cycle 4 times. I use this technique whenever I feel myself having a hard time or I'm overwhelmed by emotions. It's a great way to remind my body that I'm safe and I'm okay. I remember so many nights when I had so much anxiety and I was spiraling, especially when I was lying in bed wanting to go to sleep. And I would just do the breathing. And after a few rounds, I would really feel more relaxed. And of course, it didn't make everything magically better, but it helped me calm down enough to get some rest. It's a really great tool to calm that nervous system down. Tool number 2 is journaling for emotional release. I know I talk about journaling a lot, but there is something incredibly powerful about getting your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And don't worry, journaling isn't about writing this perfect story. It's about letting your thoughts flow without judgment. Sometimes we can carry emotions that feel too heavy to speak out loud, but writing them down can give them a space to exist. It's almost like giving your feelings permission to be seen, even if it's just by you. One of my favorite journaling prompts when I'm feeling weighed down is, what is something I'm carrying that I need to let go of? This prompt can invite you to reflect on what's truly burdening you. Now, when you're doing these journaling, write without censoring yourself. Just let it all come out. The fear, the anger, the sadness, whatever needs to be expressed. When I was in the thick of my illness, I wrote about my frustrations. I would write it on paper and then I would tear it up and throw it away. Some days the words were just really angry and raw, and I didn't want anyone else to see them. And some days the words were nice and happy, but when I'd get those out on paper, it really helped me process those feelings instead of just carrying them around. It helped me really see how I was feeling. And then I would just tear them up and throw them away. And there was something about that would help me feel a little bit better. Tool number 3, positive reframing. I don't know if you're like me, but I feel like it's always easy to see setbacks as failures. For example, when life doesn't go as planned, we can tend to blame ourselves or feel like we've lost. But positive reframing is about looking at the same situation from a different angle, taking a different perspective. So instead of saying something like, I failed at this, try saying this didn't work out the way I hoped, but I learned something valuable. It's not about being overly positive or denying your feelings. It's about recognizing that every challenge can teach us something, even if it's not immediately clear. When I first started my healing journey, I often felt very defeated when treatments didn't work. I kept thinking, why can't I just get better? But over time, I started to reframe those setbacks as part of my process. And instead of feeling like I was failing, I saw each step as a part of my journey, one that was teaching me so much patience, acceptance, and resilience. Tool number 4, grounding techniques. Grounding can be essential when you're feeling overwhelmed. It can help you reconnect to the present moment, reminding you that you're safe and you're okay. And one simple grounding technique is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. You can do this anywhere. You recognize 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you taste. When anxiety starts to take over, it can almost feel like you're floating outside of yourself. Sometimes it can be hard to ground yourself back in, but this exercise pulls you back to reality. I've used it, and it's actually a really great thing that has helped me feel more centered and more in control. Tool number 5 is community and connection. Like I've said before, resilience is not something you need to do alone. It's about allowing others to support you, whether it's your partner, a friend, a support group, or your community. They can all help you gain strength. And when I was at my lowest, yes, I felt like I had to be strong for everyone. But I learned that resilience can also be found in vulnerability, in saying, I need help. And yes, I leaned on Jeff, and I reached out to friends and my family, and I did allow myself to be supported. That connection reminded me I wasn't alone in this. And it's helped me also with different friends that I've tried really hard to be there for them because I know how important it is to not feel alone. Building resilience means we can't just keep building walls. We really need to let people in who truly want to help us. I had people that I thought I could trust that would help me that didn't on my journey. And that was hard for me. And I did start building walls, and it was hard for me to trust people. But when I found the people who showed up for me no matter what, I knew the people that I could call anytime, and they were always there for me. So I hope you can find at least one person who can be there for you to help you through the hard times. Now, take a moment to think about the tools we discussed today: mindful breathing, journaling, positive reframing, grounding techniques, and community connection. And maybe this week you choose just one to focus on. Start small. Maybe it's just doing the 4-7-8 breathing when stress hits, or maybe it's even writing down your feelings at the end of the day. And remember, resilience is not a one-time fix. It's a constant practice. It's a commitment to show up for yourself even when it's hard. It's not about never falling. It's about finding the strength to rise again even when you feel broken. Sometimes resilience looks like holding on for one more day. Sometimes it's letting yourself feel without judgment. And sometimes it's being brave enough to say, I need support. I want you to know that you are stronger than you think. You have survived every hard day up until now, and you will continue to move forward. Just allow yourself to be imperfect. Let yourself be real and know you are not alone in this journey. And let's keep showing up no matter what life throws our way. And I'd love to hear from you. Your stories of resilience are so important, not just to me, but to everyone who listens. If today's episode sparked something in you or made you think about your own journey differently, I invite you to share your story with me. And I'd especially love to know which tool resonated with you the most and how it has helped you. I would love to know your feedback. It inspires me to know what helps you. Or if there's something else that has helped you along your way, I'd love to hear about it. I always love adding new tools to my practice. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, you are resilient, strong, and capable of navigating whatever life throws your way. I'm so grateful to walk this journey with you. Take care of yourself. You deserve it. Until next time, keep showing up, keep finding your strength, and know that you're never alone in this. I'm here with you, one step at a time.